Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome back to another episode of Homebrew EDH. This is where I take you through my personal commander decks, how they work, and how they win. For today, we are actually going online. This is kind of a test of a new format of video. I have all of the decks in Moxfield, so I don't have to have them all personally built. This is a deck I owned forever and a day ago now. That is a blue-black control deck. It's got some fairy-like synergy, some tribal stuff, with a pretty standard blue-black control package. And we're going to win through basically making infinite mana and milling out our opponents, or I guess exiling out our opponents, and then making a bunch of fairies that way. Or we can also resort to the Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, or Tainted Pact two-card combo to win the game as well. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of the key cards, how this thing works, and how we're going to win. So you can kind of see everything all on screen, but I'll go through kind of section by section for a couple of interesting cards. Just ones that I thought, oh, this might be kind of neat. Like this one here, Fairy Harbinger is 4 mana 2/2 with flash. It's also a fairy, so that works out for our kind of synergy creature package. When it comes into play, you can search your library for a fairy card, basically Vampiric Tutor to the top. For a fairy specific card. Some good ones to aim for would be like Lenalendra Archmage, which allows you to counter non-creature spells. Likeness Looter is a lot of fun. It allows you to loot, hence the name, but also you can pay mana into it at sorcery speed to have it clone something in a graveyard, which is pretty cool. Another good payoff here is Obira, which when fairies enter, each opponent loses 1 life. So when we're using Oona's ability to exile the cards and make the fairies off of those, it'll also trigger Obira, which is pretty cool. And my honest favorite card in the deck out of everything here would be Talion, just because of the wide variety of numbers you can pick and how that can kind of alter a game, kind of going throughout the rest of it. Biggest hit for this, I believe, is 2 or 3, depending on the pod. I feel like those are pretty good numbers, and you will see a lot of those. Maybe 3 or 4 if you're in a more battle cruiser style, but 2 or 3 generally will do most of the work for you, which is pretty cool. Moving up here to sorceries, we do have some tutors in here. We do have Diabolic Intent. We also have, where's the other one? Merchant Scroll, there it is, which finds a blue instant card and directly into our hand, which can find any number of counter spells in our deck and other things like those. Another fun one is Mnemonic Betrayal, which exiles everybody's graveyards. You can cast cards using any mana to do so, and then they go back to the graveyard after the effect is over, which is pretty cool. And obviously we had to include Distant Melody, which draws us a card for each creature, or permanent type rather, of that type that we have. So we'll just pick fairies. If we have like 10, 12 fairies out at a time, we can draw a whole bunch of cards for 4 mana, which is pretty cool. Moving down to instants, a lot of this will just be a standard kind of counter spell card draw package. We've got Cyclonic Rift, Deadly Rollick, there's Demonic Consultation for helping win the game. The other way to win technically here would be Dramatic Reversal with Isochron Scepter and enough mana rocks. Things like Basalt Monolith, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, just enough stuff that produces more than 2 mana will get you all of the mana, colorless at least, that you would want. Note that Oona does need that blue-black pip in there, so I would recommend the Arcane Signet or the Talisman of Dominance, potentially with enough life, to where you have the colored mana available to exile everybody else out, which is pretty helpful. That's kind of our ways to win, but we do have some free counter magic. We got Force Will, Force Negation, Fierce Guardianship in here as well. And a fun card just to kind of use that I don't see a whole lot in any blue-black deck, to be honest, at least not in my playgroup, is Limjewel's Vault. It's a blue and a black for an instant. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. As many times as you choose, pay a life. You can put those cards on the bottom in any order, and then look at the top 5 again. Then you can shuffle and put the last cards you looked at this way on top in any order. So you can look at the top 5, don't like those, put them on the bottom, say the next 5 are okay, shuffle your library, put those 5 cards in any order back on top. It's pretty cool. It's a little bit of a different card, but I like it a lot. Another fun one is Pepper Smoke. I literally never heard of this card in my life, but it's a tribal fairy instant that gives a creature -1/-1 till end of turn. If we control a fairy, draw a card. So basically just a 1 mana draw a card cantrip which is always pretty good. Moving right on up to the artifacts, pretty simple package up here. Most of them are mana rocks, aside from the Icecrown Scepter, which will help us win the game. We do have Skull Clamp for card draw and that sort of thing, as well as Ashnod's Altar to create more mana with all of our tokens. Down to enchantments here, we do have Bitter Blossom, because what fairy deck is complete without one? Fairy Tauntings was a fun one to find. It's 3 mana. Whenever you play a spell during your opponent's turns, you may have each opponent lose a life. So a lot of flash cards, and the instant package kind of gets a little bit more powerful there. Leyline of the Void just as a graveyard hate piece for our opponents, which is nice. We do have the 2 Mystical Mora and Ristic Study for more card draw, and then Training Grounds to reduce the Oona activation. Even if we don't make all of the mana, we can at least trigger it more often to have that cost reduction pay off. And then we just get into the lands. It's a pretty simple kind of cut and paste here. We've got the Bojuka Bog for land hate. We have a creature land that turns into a fairy, which could potentially be useful. We have a land that makes our opponents fairies, which isn't great, but it's more fairies that do exist if we need them to pay off anything. We do run Otawara in here just in case, and honestly, that's really about it. So yeah, it's a pretty standard blue-black control deck. Again, we're just going to win through either the Thassa's Oracle line or the making infinite mana and just exiling everybody's cards out. Again, if we do have that kind of mana, we can have Obira out at the same time, and then when all of those fairies enter, as we exile everybody out, they'll just lose life equal to those numbers, and we'll just win out from our opponents having 0 life. And that's pretty much it. Alright, and that will do it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this new type of video. If you did, if it was easier to follow, just let me know. If not, I will try to change things and make it a little bit easier. But yeah, Happy New Year. Hope you guys are doing well. These videos will come once a week. My other video will be on Thursdays. That will be my Prototype to Powerhouse series that I am starting. That is going to be, but that will be my one deck that I will track all of my stats for 2025 every week when I go to game night, aside from last week because that was New Year's, and potentially not this week, but I might just proxy the last cards that I need just so I have a chance to start on those. But I'll basically track all the wins, all the losses, all the draws. But yeah, if you guys like this video, go ahead and leave a like. Consider subscribing. It does help grow the channel. We did just hit 250 subscribers. If we hit 300 this year, I'll do like a special video with a giveaway or something of the sort. I'm not really sure. Haven't really thought about it yet, but maybe that'll happen, so just keep your eyes out, and I hope you guys did enjoy it. I will see you guys Thursday for another video. Take care until then, and have a good one.